I am architect Ashwin Lovekar. Me and my wife Anjali Lovekar started Lovekar Design Associates in 1993, and we've been practicing in Pune since then, and we've been into residential architecture, commercial architecture and residential interiors as well as commercial interiors. The client had bought a row house, actually a couple of row houses in Vashi, Navi Mumbai. It was a 30-year-old structure, and he needed somebody to do it as per his requirements. They accidentally stumbled upon our article which showed our own office. So that's when they called me up, and then we went to see the site, and the whole context being very different, he needed somebody who would understand the situation on site, his requirements, and work accordingly. The site is in an area called Sidco in Vashi. So if you see, this plot was something like this, and this was the road here. And there were continuous row houses on the sides. And so this was the plot that we are talking of. And at the back also there were row houses and the spillover spaces. So this was the road, and we had the north on this side. So actually the system was that these were the two row houses, and we had this open space in front. Thankfully the place was surrounded by a lot of trees, which was a happy situation for us. We actually worked on the first row house, which was the row house on the left. So if you see the designs, there were these two row houses sitting next to each other. So you enter the row house from here, this row house you enter from here. So this row house, in the original plan, there was a bedroom on the ground floor, there was a kitchen over here, there was a staircase going up to the top floor, and there was a living cum dining space in this area, which was very dark because there was no light source. These walls all were dead walls, there was no light source from here. So the only light source from this side. The rear part of the building was also blocked due to an encroachment from all sides, so there was hardly any light coming in. So the first thing that we realized, that we had to work on the light and ventilation of this place. It was, so at 12 o'clock in the afternoon you had to put on a tube light to see what was there happening inside in the center of the house. So what we did was, the most important part of this design was to get in light. So we cut a core over here. Originally this was a duct. This was a duct which was used for services. So we decided to use this place, open it out and get in light. So this actually became a box of light coming in, and it became the light well which illuminated this whole area. So what we did was, we did away with this bedroom. So effectively, in the earlier plan there were 3 bedrooms. There was 1 bedroom on the ground floor, there were 2 bedrooms on the top floor. So they did not need as many bedrooms over here because they had one more row house over here. So we did away with the bedroom over here. We knocked down all the internal walls and converted this space into the dining area. This remained the kitchen, and this was the open court, which gave in a lot of light. So open court plus light came in from this side, and this was the living room. One of the biggest problems in this place was the width of the row house. It was only 16 feet in width, so it was a very tight space to work on, and 16 feet included a 4-foot staircase. Actually, you access the first floor through a very narrow staircase, and you come to the first floor through the staircase, and there is this passage which takes you to one bedroom over here, which is overlooking the facade, and the other bedroom at the back. So this is the bedroom, and there was an attached toilet, etc. on this side, and with a space for a wardrobe. So the interesting part of this area was this whole space looked down into the cutout, which, as I told you, became the main interesting and focal part of the entire layout of the design. So there was a window from this bedroom that looked down into this space, and there was a neat narrow passage which looked down into this space as well. And so there was a connection. It had, though it was a row house, there was a feeling of a bungalow where there is a connection between the ground floor and the first floor, and there is some kind of interaction which can happen. So this bedroom which was there, which faced the garden, it had a small terrace. So we made a small spiral staircase in one corner which took us to the terrace on top. So this spiral staircase took us here, and we had these two cutouts which we made for both the row houses. So we raised the walls of these cutouts of these open spaces, and we used them as design elements for the space. And the space between these two ducts was actually, it was a whole maze of pipes going in from here and there. There was this dirty looking black water tanks sitting over there. So we had to shift all of these at the back to a place where they are not seen, and we used this central space to form a pavilion. So there was a pavilion which was formed, and this whole space around it was used to planter boxes, which added a lot of greenery on this side. And this was connected to this by a pergola. And this whole thing becomes a very interesting place where they can hang out, they can have their small parties over there, and became a surprise element for them, because this is something that they had never expected. We had this space outside the two row houses, which was, thankfully, there was a good amount of space there, and there was a coconut tree sitting here. So what we decided to do is, we decided to design a compound wall which had a pedestrian entry, and we had two big gates over here to let the cars come in. So we kept space for two cars to be parked on this side, and we created a pedestrian walkway over here with a pergola. So there was a pergola, a wooden pergola which connected this whole space continuously, and the space below this pergola, this much part of the space below the pergola had an artificial grass over here in this area, and we had a green wall on this side with a nice sleeping Buddha sitting there. And this was a very simple exercise that we did, but added a lot of value to this space, which was otherwise only a tiled area which was not being used properly, which was wasted majorly because all they needed to do was park two cars. So as soon as you walked inside the bungalow, you had a feeling, as soon as you walked inside this space, you had a feeling that you were walking into a bungalow and not walking into a row house. And with the interesting facade that we made over there, this whole thing blended very well and it fit in well. The client was effectively very happy. So if I explain the living room design to you, actually the whole ground floor area design to you, we had this staircase over here which took us to the first floor. We had the cutout which let in light over here. We had the dining space, and we had the kitchen on this side with a small powder toilet tucked into this space. Explained earlier, we had a problem with the seepage. There was a huge problem over here with all the row houses that water used to seep in through the floor, and it used to go up and the walls used to get destroyed. So everybody had come up with their own ideas of putting some kind of stone or something like that. So what we did is we needed a background for the furniture and for everything else that we did there, and at the same time we needed to protect the walls. So what we did is we took black granite, made it into a rough finish and clad the entire walls with the black granite. So if you see this wall was entirely clad in black granite till about 3 feet height, and the same thing continued after the central court. So this gave a linear character to the space. which was otherwise a very boxy kind of character. It gave a linear character to the space and added a lot of design value. Similarly, the space below the staircase, which was otherwise going waste, was used to house a lot of storage. We had a small mini bar shifted over there, the inverter, the battery, and so many other things which you need. The space being so small, those had to be accommodated below the staircase. So in all, if you see, the space became a very utility oriented space, but at the same time added a lot of value by adding elements which really made the design worthwhile. So this house came in with more challenges, more negative aspects than any positive aspects to it. And the biggest challenge was to work against those and create a good environment for the client to